Welcome into the Stardom Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Stefen McKinney, joined as always by Ashton, Mitchell, and Jacob Stevens.
Yeah, we're here.
Where did you just go just now? What was that accent?
It was a nice transition. It was a half Boston accent right there. That's what I felt for.
Oh, that's what that was. Sorry, my bad.
Watching the Patriots game on one tab and figured add a little Boston in there.
Huh.
But we are officially into the fantasy playoffs for most people, most leagues. I'm assuming they're starting theirs as well. It's pretty standard for it to start in week 14. Ashton, I'd like to say congratulations on your multiple playoff appearances. And yeah, Jacob, you made one too. So I guess congratulations is due for you as well.
Thank you.
I think there's a road
about that.
There's a road in each of our big leagues for us to all potentially play each other in the championships, which would be quite exciting if any of those work out to be the case. But overall, guys, is there for the playoffs, for the appearances that you guys have made the playoffs in, how much faith do you have in your team actually making a run for the championship, or do you believe in any of your teams to really have a chance here?
Oh, you got to.
Jacob, you only have one league to look at, so it shouldn't be hard for you. Do you think you have a chance?
I always have a chance.
Okay.
I think even the teams that didn't make the playoffs, it would if I was in the playoffs. That
right, we don't talk about those because you're not
better than y'all's teams.
Big what ifs here, bud.
Or shooting hand grenades, man. You know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do something a little different today. Again, this is one episode this week. This is the big one though. So we're in the playoffs. So these are the games that count. It's a new season. Your record doesn't mean anything. So if you made it to the playoffs, it's anybody's ball game at this point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk. We all have a start and a sit of the week, and then we have streams of the week as well, just to maybe find that diamond in the rough to get you through week 14, get you into round 2 of the playoffs. So we're going to talk about some guys that we're excited about, some guys that we're looking to try to find a replacement for, and some diamonds in the rough. And then we will talk a little bit of news, and then we have an exciting bet result from last week as well. Let's start it off with the news.
News and notes.
It seems that our prophecy has finally come afoot. We've told you all year how Carson Wentz is terrible at football. And it finally was recognized. Jalen Hurts came in, looked pretty good, pretty exciting. And the Eagles have named Jalen Hurts as their starter for week 14. I guess what are y'all's expectations for Jalen Hurts moving forward? There's no guarantee that he's the starter for the rest of the year, but we know that he will be the starter in week 14. He gets a tough matchup to start his NFL career with the New Orleans Saints, whose defenses look fantastic. But are you guys picking up Jalen Hurts with the hope that after this week, he at least gets the chance with a little bit easier matchups and can be someone that you can possibly stream in round 2 and possibly the championships?
Yeah, Ashton, tell us.
I definitely have more faith in Jalen Hurts than I do Carson Wentz. I think Philly's sack count offensively will go down. Jalen definitely looks more mobile. We have an eye test to take with Jalen Hurts. Kind of watch him on the next game. I picked him up in Dynasty. Unfortunately, that was a league I didn't get into the playoffs with. But
yeah, Stefan knows about that.
I was very upset about that.
Were you? I'm sorry, bud. Well,
I want to explain to listeners as well. Who are your quarterbacks in that league?
Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, and then I just picked up Jalen Hurts.
So you felt it was necessary.
Were you playing Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Okay. So why did you pick up Jalen Hurts?
Well, do you have Jalen Hurts now?
No, I have Mike Glennon. All right,
Yeah.
that's what I got.
So that's why.
Messed up
They're not even in the
stuff.
playoffs. What does it matter who I have?
It's dynasty. I got to keep him down the road, man.
It
Oh
is
yeah,
dynasty.
just in case Kyler Murray just falls apart some point in his
No,
career.
that'd be a real dick move if I picked him up in a redraft league. But
Yeah, it would
that's
be.
not what we're doing here.
Whatever, man. All right.
Got
man.
him.
So I guess yeah. So yeah, this week isn't the greatest with New Orleans, but he has Arizona and then he has Dallas in the championship week. So I mean, I think there's the
Their
possibility.
offensive line is so bad. They're down 3 starters. Carson Wentz was just bad in his own right, but I think that's just going to limit his ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think we'll find out a little bit more about how he plays against a tougher team this week, and you can kind of go from there. But if you got a bench spot and you're not in the playoffs and you want to really screw somebody over that is in the playoffs, you can just go ahead and pick it up, just like Ashton did.
Booyah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The next piece of news: we were expecting Christian McCaffrey to hopefully return this week, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Matt Rolos came out and said that he's not expecting Christian McCaffrey to play this week, so it should be another week of Mike Davis. I guess what do you expect from Mike Davis? It's a tougher matchup with Denver. He's been up and down as of
Mainly
late,
down.
but he was great to start the season when Christian McCaffrey went out. So are you guys playing Mike Davis against this Denver defense?
I think you can. I think you're in for about 8 or 9 points.
Mhm.
That's just kind of what he's been doing since he got off that hot start, and then that's kind of just where he's been.
Yep.
And maybe the bye week helps him. I don't know. He's coming off a bye week. Maybe he'll get a little bit of more power and be a little healthier out there. But I'm still not. I mean, I'm starting him if I've got him, but just limited ceiling.
Yep. Yeah, so McCaffrey actually popped up with a new injury after the bye week. He's said to have a lingering thigh issue at this point. I guess, are we expecting Christian McCaffrey to return at all this year? Like, should we have our hopes set that, maybe you get Christian McCaffrey back for the last 2 weeks, or should we kind of manage our expectations that there's a real possibility that he doesn't play again this year?
I would lean on the side of most likely not returning this year. If he does return, I mean, no one's really at 100% this late in the season, but you want McCaffrey in a more operable form, and I don't think you're going to see that if he does return in time for your playoff push here. So I'd make sure you have other options.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation to what we're seeing with Joe Mixon. How it's just like they're two guys that they seem to be coming back week after week, and they just keep getting held out, and that's not promising. If you have our IR spots, you can always just hold them and see what happens. But if not, if you don't have IR spots and they're sitting on the back of your bench and you need to pick up someone to play, are you okay with making that move to pick up someone and dropping those guys, or are you holding on just for the hope that they do come back? I mean, they both have really, really high ceilings. They're
Like, wait, would I drop Mixon or McCaffrey?
like, if you don't have IR spots in your league and they're taking up a bench spot and you need someone to play this week, like say Cam Akers was available in your league and you had a chance, you need a running back to play. You have to either go get Cam Akers, but you have to drop one of these two guys. Are you willing to make that move, or are you holding on knowing that McCaffrey can win you a championship if he does come back?
Yeah, I would still
go.
hold on to McCaffrey. I mean, Mixon's probably Mixon's a different conversation for me. Depending on who you're able to pick up. I mean, it really just depends on who you're eyeing, who's available in your waiver wire. But I still wouldn't. I'd make room somewhere else. I wouldn't drop McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'd be a little more lenient on
Just in the case, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a stretch, but he's too good to just drop.
Gotcha.
Worst thing you would want to do is drop McCaffrey, and next thing you know, they're like, "Oh, miracle, he's good to go," and then someone else picks him up and does it. Wins the league, because he's a league-winning player if he comes back and plays. So
Yeah, I mean, there was a real possibility that he was going to play this week until that new injury popped up. So there's definitely still a good chance he plays next week. So we'll have to hold on and see as that continues to develop. And then the last piece of news, another injury issue here, Drew Brees, all of his broken ribs. Apparently he was progressing well, but still is not expected to play in week 14 against Philadelphia. So we should get another week of Taysom Hill. But I guess what's our expectation for Drew Brees when he does come back? Are you eyeing Drew Brees as someone that you can possibly play when he returns? Or, I mean, he wasn't the greatest when he was healthy. So, I mean, what are your expectations for him coming back?
I would say this. Would you rather start Drew Brees or Philip Rivers?
I think it's based on the matchups, and Philip Rivers has looked good.
Yeah, the past few games, Philip Rivers has stepped it up. I mean, I would normally put Drew Brees way ahead of Philip Rivers, even on Philip's better days. But I don't know. I think this year's just been pretty significant and telling in how stable Drew Brees is right now. And his body's just not holding up. I mean, he got beat up pretty bad. How many broken ribs do you have?
11.
Yeah, I mean, and didn't he have a
And a
punctured
punctured
lung?
lung.
Yeah, so I mean, you take another bad hit to the side. I mean, it's going to be back to Soreville, and it's going to be tough to throw. So I don't know. I
mean,
think
he doesn't throw it that far as it is, but I mean, his ceiling's already been capped for this year. We've seen him have 3 games over 20 points, or 4 games, sorry, and the highest he ever got to was 23.68 or and half point. So,
but that was all basically without a healthy Michael Thomas as well, which, I mean, you can account for maybe some of those lower games.
Yeah, I think at this point there's much higher upside to Taysom Hill moving forward than Drew Brees if he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, if Drew Brees does come back, he gets Kansas City and Minnesota in week 15 and 16. I don't know if I'd be confident starting him against Kansas City, but I think you could hold him, see what he does against Kansas City, and then in the championship game against Minnesota, I think if he looks pretty good against Kansas City, I think you could take a shot on him at Minnesota. And then that's basically it for the news in terms of the big time news. There's some smaller stuff like we were talking about before the show. AJ Bouye, cornerback for the Denver Broncos, has been suspended for 6 games. So take that into account when you're looking against matchups against Denver. They have a pretty strong defense against the pass, but with their leading corner out, I think you can kind of consider some of those better wide receivers against Denver now. But that wraps it up for the news. Let's talk about a quick bet result. Ashton is cashing in with bets the last 2 weeks, has been hitting on them after he started off with a very poor effort to start the year. But the bet last week was an odd one. It was T. Higgins versus Michael Pittman. Jacob taking on Ashton. T. Higgins eked it out, 8.1 points to 7.1 points. So Ashton, you won that bet against Jacob. I think what was on the line here was a water bet. Jacob kind of explained it a little bit. It's an app where you kind of spin a wheel and it gives you your punishment and see how you get water dumped on you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to do that here or now, or how are we going to show our listeners that? I mean, not the dumping of the water, but
I can't dump it through the computer because this is not.
No, but like the app to show us how it's going to happen.
Computer.
I think
this is the perfect time to do it is in the winter, where I'll really feel the pain. But
I think we'll do it and put it on social media. So check out our Instagram and Facebook.
I like that idea. I'm going to write that down just so we don't forget that you guys.
No, I'll remember it. I'll remember it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So look at our socials. Hopefully let's try to get that out this weekend for our listeners to get a nice little laugh on. And we'll get that out to you guys. So make sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll put it out on there. Maybe do a little YouTube clip for you guys.
Stefan, should we eat chicken wings while we watch Jacob do this?
Yeah, but now I gotta buy
do
my
it to me,
own
man.
after.
You can't eat wings while you dump water on me.
You can't get them from me anymore.
Right. So I don't know if it's that appealing anymore. But yeah, congratulations, Ashton. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is when we take advantage of him, Jacob. He's feeling good. He's feeling confident after winning 2 weeks in a row. Maybe this is when we try to really, really get him back,
I think we could find some bets in there somewhere.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's talk starts of the week. We got some exciting ones. This is a big week for our listeners. Week 1 of the fantasy football playoffs. You lose and you're out. Game over for you. No more chance at that championship. So we got to give them good, solid starts of the week to get them over that hump and into the next round. Anybody want to start us off with their quarterback start of the week?
I will.
Okay.
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling kind of confident.
Kinda.
I'm kind of confident.
Feel all right about it.
I'm expecting this player. He's old. He's talented. He's been compared to an animal that likes to live on the mountains, and it is the GOAT. Tom Brady.
I get it.
Okay, get it? Yeah, that's where we're at. He's had a couple down performances. Tampa as a whole has. I think they had the bye week. They're going to figure some things out with that wide receiver room. And I really think he's going to bring the noise, okay, against the Minnesota Vikings, who have been a little bit better lately, but they're still kind of middle of the pack as about how many points they give up to QBs. So I believe in Tom Brady and that arsenal of weapons.
I like that.
I like hearing that from you.
Good start of the week. Ashton
Thank
was
you.
kind of deciding between two guys, and Tom Brady was one of those guys. So maybe that gives him a little bit of confidence. Ashton, who you got?
I got Ryan Tannehill going against the Jags. Look at his overall season so far. I mean, he has been putting up solid numbers aside from weeks 9 and 10. I think before that, the lowest point average he had gotten, week 3 he put up 12, but he's been killing it. I'll just say it that way. And he's going against a Jags defense that's basically just been not there.
There it is.
And it's a great matchup. Corey Davis has looked phenomenal, making some sweet snags with his hands, and obviously AJ Brown has been lights out. I like the matchup here. I like the weapons he's got with him. And then the run game, obviously, with Derrick Henry in the mix, just evens it out. So I think he's going to be able to put up a high amount of numbers here against Jags in Jacksonville. So without a doubt, startable.
Quarterback 7 on the year, higher than the aforementioned Tom Brady.
Hey,
Well, season's not over yet, bud.
I'm just telling you where he's at right now.
Just keep it going, okay, man?
My quarterback start of the week is Justin Herbert. He burned a good friend of mine last week, possibly ended his playoff hopes. That was Jacob.
it was me. Okay. Everyone out there, it was me.
We thought for a moment here that he was matchup proof. I mean, he was lighting up any defense, didn't matter who he went against. He lit up New Orleans, he lit up Denver. I mean, he was basically unstoppable. But against New England last week, nobody knows what happened. 4 points in the week just wasn't it. But thankfully enough, he gets Atlanta this week, which, as we all know, is a very nice defense to face as a quarterback, and he has a beautiful playoff schedule. So I think he's going to be a quarterback that I think you're going to see in a lot of championship games, just not for Jacob. So,
wait, before we move off of QBs, can we touch base on something that we tried to address last week?
Sure.
Do you know what I'm going to refer to?
No.
Who we were trying to convince you to put as your start of the week?
Derek Carr. We're done with Derek Carr.
Well, I just want to know, can we go back? I think he got how many points? 31 points?
It was good.
Okay.
What are you gonna, would you play him against the Colts?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'll say yes.
I don't understand the question.
I bet he puts up over 18 points against the Colts.
No, he doesn't. There's no way.
I bet he does.
There we go. This is it. We found him back.
All right. You want the water? You want
No,
water round two?
I'm not doing water. I'm doing water. I'll drive my car and bring you some chicken sauce for your chicken wings. All right, go ahead. Let's move on.
Doesn't seem confident there.
No, I don't.
Absolutely.
That's a big stretch.
Well, let's move it to the running back position. Who's running backs that you guys are excited about for round one of the playoffs here? Ashton, I'll let you lead us off. What do you got?
Oh, I got Austin Eckler
Okay.
going into it. Look, since he's come back, he's been good. I mean, we wanted him to be that powerhouse running back, but he's been stopped with injuries. But now that he's back, Herbert's how many receiving yards is he getting? They throwing him into the mix.
He was 4 for 32 last week, but that was a terrible Justin Herbert week. And then his first week back, 11 for 85, which is very, very nice.
Yeah, so I think that's only going to go up, especially against the Falcons here. And I know the Falcons defense has begun to look better over the past month, but I mean it's Justin Herbert and the Chargers here, so I think they're going to be in a world of hurt. I expect Eckler to put up a healthy amount of scoring points here for your fantasy team, and without a doubt, another start for you. So I got him. I'm starting him in my league, so I trust that you can do the same.
Very nice. I'm gonna come in here hot with somebody special.
Oof.
Somebody that has been mediocre basically all season long. Disappointing last year. Stefen remembers.
I think that's basically how you just explain him in general. Mediocre,
Yeah, but something happened to this young man. David Montgomery has found another gear. This guy is playing out of his mind. He's so explosive. He's catching the ball all over the place. Me and Stefan have been talking. We're texting. Who's that? Who's wearing David Montgomery's jersey? Because that's not him. He's been playing so explosive, and he is playing the second worst run defense in the league, in the Houston Texans. So yeah, I mean he's kind of a good start. So just get ready. It's gonna be fun.
I would assume that he's had to have had some random drug tests from the league after the last
absolutely.
2 weeks. They had to have pulled him aside and be like, hey, what's going on here? Like this isn't the guy we've seen for the last year and some change here.
Right.
But he's getting
100%.
it together, and I think if he keeps stringing along a couple good games to end the year, it's going to be weird come draft time next year in redraft leagues of where David Montgomery gets taken. So. Something to keep an eye on. My running back start of the week is DeAndre Swift. He hasn't played since week 10 with the concussion, but he's strung together 2 limited practices in a row. So he's trending the right way. And he gets an awesome match to come back to, hopefully, with Green Bay. We saw right before the injury that Detroit was really starting to involve DeAndre Swift in their offense. They were a weird offense to start the year with the 3 running backs, but it really seemed like Swift was starting to get the lion's share of the carries before he got the concussion. So if he is a go, if he's healthy and he's cleared to play, I think you can put him right back in your lineup and expect a big game against Green Bay. So DeAndre Swift, running back start of the week. Let's move over to the wide receivers. I'll lead us off here.
Thank you.
I have A.J. Brown taking on Jacksonville. I'm going to go off of Ashton's quarterback start of the week, or Ryan Tannehill. I love this Jacksonville matchup for quarterbacks, and for wide receivers, it's just as great. I know we had the big Corey Davis game last week, and I think he's a great start as well. But I just expect A.J. Brown to have a huge, monstrous game. He was going to have a nice game last week. If it weren't for the 2 costly fumbles. He fumbled on like the 1 yard line before scoring a touchdown and had another bad fumble. But he looked good for the whole game other than that. So I think he's going to have a nice game this week against Jacksonville and can probably carry you to a win if you have him.
Heck yeah. I like that. I like that whole matchup. It's going to be hopefully an explosion of fantasy points for the Tennessee Titans. But I will go ahead here with my wide receiver, and I am doing a double stack attack from Tampa Bay, and I am taking Mike Evans paired with my boy Tom Brady. The Vikings are, I think, they're second worst against wide receivers. Their secondary is garbage. Like I said, they have been playing better, but I think the Buccaneers are going to come out playing angry from what's been going on. Stefan was making fun of them earlier and how they're not that much better than the Patriots. I think they're going to set out to prove Stefan wrong, specifically just him.
They listen in every day.
And I know you're sitting here thinking, you're like, well, Chris Godwin can catch a touchdown. Gronkowski could catch a touchdown. Antonio
Miracle
Brown
could
could catch a touchdown. I mean,
Antonio Brown.
Ronald Jones could catch. But what's going to happen is Mike Evans, he's kind of been the touchdown specialist. He's not really the deep threat that he used to be, but he's been getting the touchdowns. So I'm expecting him to catch maybe 1 or 2 this week for
So
fun.
you thinking like 2 for 15 and a touchdown, or
Yeah, something like that.
Ashton? What about you? Who do you got? Wide receiver.
I'm taking a little bit of a risk here because I'm going with a Jets player, but it's Jamison Crowder. He looked really good against Vegas last week. Had 2 touchdowns, put up 19 points. Sam Darnold back in the mix there. It just seems to be working a lot better now. Jameson has been struggling with some injury throughout the season. But with Denzel Mims already ruled out, I think his target count will still stay relatively high. So I think it's going to be a good matchup against Seattle's weak secondary here. So I expect Crowder to be productive.
I like that. Well,
Yep.
Let me ask you now that you said James Crowder, your start of the week. I have James Crowder. And he's been a guy that I've looked at week after week, and I believed in him. But now I'm stuck with a situation where I had high hopes for Raheem Mostert, and he looked really good last week. He just wasn't getting as many carries as I thought he would get. He was in a little timeshare with Jeff Wilson.
I won a game because Mostert didn't produce last week, which
My
is
name is
perfect.
Jeff.
Yeah.
But now Raheem Mostert gets Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and James Crowder gets Seattle.
Yep.
Who would you flex there?
Crowder.
Okay.
It wasn't Washington's offense that won last week. It was their defense, and their defense has.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a conversation to have that they're the best defense in the league right now.
Well, come on now. Over Pittsburgh.
Well, who did they play, and who did they beat?
Okay, but one team is 11-1.
Well, and where did they get that one from against Washington?
That's irrelevant.
It's an
Is
interesting
it
comparison.
relevant?
Yeah, kind of.
All right, we'll see.
What about you, Jacob? Would you play Raheem Mostert or James Crowder?
Raheem Mostert or Jameson Crowder? Oof. I hate Jets. I hate the Jets.
But do you hate James Crowder?
No. It's a little closer for me because I do hate the Jets, and I know they'll disappoint you at pretty much all times.
I don't like the Jets. I don't like the Jets at all. But
If you make him your start of the week, you love the freaking Jets.
Adam Gase
That's
is
a
the
condition.
best.
Yeah, I think Crowder's probably got some higher upside. But if the 49ers offense is rolling, I think Raheem Mostert will get hopefully the goal line touches.
Yeah,
So I
Raheem
think they're
Mostert did
kinda-
come out. He came
Do
out
what?
this week. I mean, he came out today and said that the high ankle sprain is probably going to
Could
bother
be,
him for the rest of
yeah.
the season, and it's kind of like just a lingering, feeling that he's.
That's an old tactic. He's just blowing smoke. He's gonna come out there and light it up.
See?
That's what we need.
See?
Go ahead and start Mostert 7. You got this.
I mean, he's right.
Wait,
right
which-
now he's in my lineup.
What league is this in?
This is the main league.
Oh yeah, go ahead and start Mostert. Yeah, you got this.
All right, let's move on to tight end starts of the week. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and lead us off here? Who do you got?
Logan Thomas.
All right, okay, we'll move on. I'll go next.
Okay, so it's Logan Thomas of the Washington football team. He's
Oh, embarrassing.
really, honestly, all year long, he's been pretty decent as tight ends go. Someone who's had a good amount of targets, and I think it was last week? Was it against that unnamed team that was having a pretty good season? Is that where he had the game of his life?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Alex Smith, he's just making it work with Logan Thomas, and I like what I see, and I expect it to be a good week for him. And tight ends suck, so
This is the toughest matchup for tight ends, so
Yeah.
it doesn't worry you.
not at all.
I feel that.
Alex Smith is a dumper offer. He's not really looking downfield too much right now, so
You know,
be
especially
there.
with Antonio Gibson, possibly missing here. This can be
his little turfy toe, little baby toe fell off.
this could be all Logan Thomas. Ashton, what about you? Who do you got at the tight end position?
My boy, Rob Gronkowski.
Oh no, back to this again.
Playing against the Vikings.
We got
Dude.
three. We got $3.
Brady is constantly looking for Gronk. And if you watch the film, you will see that every first and second down, he is checking for Gronk. And they're getting him more involved. He had a great game against Kansas City. I mean, he's over the past 6-8 weeks. Well, since week 6, he's really been a productive tight end. I mean, not that that's hard to do in the NFL right now, but well, if you looked at other tight end numbers, you would think it is. But if you catch anything, you're ahead of the curve. And I think with Brady targeting him and keeping an eye on him as an option, even in a loaded offensive lineup there, I would highly consider starting Gronk. So I did, and he's my start of the week.
Okay.
I get it. My start of the week is Mark Andrews. Missed last week with the COVID. And he's been either really, really good or really, really disappointing all year. It's kind of up and down. You don't know what you're going to get out of the guy. But we saw this matchup back in week 1, and Mark Andrews had that 2-touchdown performance against Cleveland. And Cleveland is the second worst defense against the tight end. So I expect Mark Andrews to come out there and feast after returning from the COVID. He's had 2 weeks off, so he's had a little rest. So I'm expecting him to come back and be great against this divisional matchup. And this is a game that they need to win to stay in that playoff race. So expect Mark Andrews to have a nice game. Let's move on to the sits of the week before we wrap it up with the streams of the week. We'll start off with the quarterback position. Who do you guys have as your sit of the week?
I'll lead us off here with good old Tua T. I'm not going to try to say his name because I mess it up half the time. We haven't seen enough out of Tua to believe in Tua, and he is playing the Chiefs this week. I think the Chiefs are going to have their way with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been they're staying afloat mainly because of their defense and Ryan Fitzpatrick when he was there. We miss him dearly and all the fantasy points he provided for us. Yeah, it's just not looking good for him this week.
That's a good one. My quarterback of the week is Jalen Hurts. We talked about him earlier. He's finally getting his chance to start. And you would always hope that, he's going to be better than Carson Wentz, which is probably the case. But he gets a really, really tough matchup against New Orleans, whose defense has been on fire. So for a guy getting his first start as a rookie, this isn't the way you want to start it out. So if you did pick up Jalen Hurts, I would keep him on your bench for now because better days are ahead, but this is not the matchup to play him in.
Except for you, Ashton. You can go ahead and start him.
You play him over Kyler and Aaron Rodgers. That's what you do.
I have 2 more options. I think I'm okay. So mad, bitter.
Man, as long as it gets you through the consolation bracket, you do what you want to do, bud.
building year for my dynasty.
The rebuild.
All right, can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead, bud.
Thank you. I got Captain Kirk Cousins going against Tampa Bay Bucks. Look, he hasn't been horrible this year at home, but when he is on the road, he kind of looks like trash.
Whoa, hot
and
garbage.
he's playing against a stacked defense here with Tampa Bay. I don't think he's going to make this work. It's not a primetime game. It's 1:00, right? Yeah. So I mean, we all know how Kirk Cousins does in primetime games too. It's usually a bust there as well. But this could be a shootout. But overall, I think Cousins is going to disappoint you, and I'm not starting him this week.
Yeah, he's got a really tough playoff schedule as well. Tampa Bay, Chicago, and New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think
that's
you can
not good.
you
That's
could probably
not
keep him
optimal.
on the waivers to wrap up the season.
I mean, if you want to lean on garbage time points, go for it.
True.
But
True.
throw some interceptions in there as well.
Let's move it over to the running back sits of the week. I'll lead us off just so I can rub it in Ashton's face.
Whoa.
Oh, help.
My running back sit of the week is Kareem Hunt taking on Baltimore. Since Nick Chubb has returned, Kareem Hunt just hasn't quite looked the same as he did to start the season with Nick Chubb, and I think has been a little bit below your expectations, I would assume, Ashton. 7 points last week, 6 points the week before, and 8 points the week before. Hasn't hit double digits in 3 weeks. Not what you're looking for out of a guy who was so great for the start of the year. Still running back 9 on the year, but this is a really, really tough matchup with Baltimore. So I think you're going to get kind of the same result that we've seen the last couple of weeks. So that's why I think Nick Chubb is my sit of the week.
Yep.
That's brave
Thank you.
and stupid. No, I'm just kidding. Wait, so you
Wait.
said
Not Chubb, Hunt.
Kareem Hunt.
You said
Yeah.
Nick Chubb.
you said Chubb.
I would never say that.
That's why I said you
I
were
said he
brave.
hasn't
We got-
looked as good with
we-
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, but you said
Oh.
that's why Nick Chubb is my sit of the week.
Yeah.
So we
Someone
got
play it
to
back.
record it.
Someone
All
run
right,
it back.
we'll play it back. Because I was like looking at this show doc and I was like,
I was sitting here going, wait, did he just say that?
I'm confused. It sounds like you're saying to sit both of them. So
I know what you
whatever.
meant. Yes, Hunt. I as much as I
Sit
want to
them both.
argue with
Sit them
that.
both, guys.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead here and say the right name. I am. This one's tough. This one hurts people's feelings. It's injured for a while, came back, looked pretty good. Then the fall of Carson Wentz and the offensive line in Philadelphia. It's not what you want. Things aren't looking good there for that. The offense in general, Hurts is going to be out there, but this is his first start, and he's playing the Saints, and who we've been talking about all show, and how dominant they've been recently. And I don't want any part of it. Miles Sanders probably doesn't want any part of it. So you should sit him. Mm-hmm.
What's up with Philly, man? So speaking of Hurts and fallen, what can we talk about the cliff that Todd Gurley must have fallen off of after the bye week, because he hasn't produced more than 4 points since week 10 or since week 9. He was my against our running back bet at the beginning of the season. I had Gurley, Jacob had David Johnson, and Stefen had Melvin Gordon. I think Gurley and Gordon are like neck to neck right now, right?
Gordon's
as far
about 11 points behind him.
Yeah, so really close race there. But I mean, Gurley hasn't done anything, and I am very concerned with this upcoming few weeks. I mean, he's got Chargers, but then he's got Tampa Bay and Kansas City, and then Tampa Bay again in week 17, even though that doesn't matter to most of us in leagues. But Gurley is not producing at all. So he is my sit of the week. As much as I hate to say it, he is 100% touchdown dependent, and he's not even getting those. So he's not worth a start for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the big worry about Todd Gurley coming into the year. We knew that it was going to come up at some point. And even when he was looking great to start the year, he was like running back 3 in standard leagues. And we were telling you guys to trade him, get rid of him if you can, because we just knew, that hamstring issue, the knee issue, like it's too much for Gurley to maintain a whole year.
Hey, I'm happy he got more than half the season under his belt, but yeah, absolutely right. Couldn't sustain the full season.
Yep. All right, let's move over to the wide receiver position. We'll start off with the wide receiver sits of the week. Ashton, who do you have there?
Hollywood Brown going against Cleveland. Excuse me, I got ice. Cleveland's defense has stepped up a lot over the past few weeks. And while Hollywood Brown has produced the past couple weeks, I would not keep riding that train. I think he's going to fall off this week against a tough secondary. So be be advised. Not worth a glance here this week against Cleveland.
You should also be advised that chewing ice is terrible for your teeth.
I got caught off
He's
guard.
got low iron, dude.
I'm an old man. That's basically my supper here.
Ice chips. I'll go ahead and dive in here for old grandpa over here. I'm doing another double stack. It's
Stack track.
yeah, and this is also another guy that we lost all those fun fantasy points when Fitzpatrick got replaced by Tua. It's really been touchdown or bust for him with Tua in there. So in a matchup against the top 5 wide receivers with the points they give up.
Did you say white receivers? or
White
wide?
receivers.
Wide
What
receivers.
the?
Wide. Got it.
Pretty sure.
Wide receivers.
I like that.
So it's a bad matchup.
I agree. Definitely agree there. My wide receiver set of the week is Cole Beasley. He's coming off a monster game last week. But this week they draw Pittsburgh. We've seen Josh Allen disappoint against these tougher matchups. I think Josh Allen's going to come back to reality this week against Pittsburgh. And I still think Cole Beasley will get a decent amount of volume. I just don't expect it to turn into much. So Cole Beasley, I think, will have 5 or 6 points, but I don't think he's going to have the upside that you see with him in a lot of these more appealing matchups. That's why Cole Beasley is my sit of the week. And lastly, for our sits of the week, let's wrap it up with tight ends. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and start us off here?
Yeah, for sure. I've got Austin Hooper, who I used to believe in. I used to care about. I used to like him a little bit. And then his appendix exploded inside of his body. And they took it out, and they took all his skills that he used to have to catch the ball and, kind of run around with it and run towards the end zone. He just doesn't really do that anymore. So, yeah, he's my sit of the week.
That's a good one.
And he's playing the Ravens, so
He's had
they're
a lot
not
of
great against
appearances.
great against tight ends, but it's never fun.
He's made a lot of appearances this year on our sits of the week segment.
He has. He
Ashton, what
certainly
about you?
has.
Who do you got?
I'm sitting Zach Ertz this week. Even with Jalen Hurts coming in, we haven't really figured out how he connects with these tight ends. But Dallas Goedert,
Hurts?
yeah,
It
so
hurts to Ertz.
there's not going to be a lot of Hurts to Ertz this week, I don't think. So, yeah, Dallas Goedert, I'm definitely leaning on as a higher rollout here for tight end position than Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is, he'll be a target, but he's not going to produce the way you remember him producing before. And even though he's been dealing with injuries, that's a factor, of course, in and of itself. But there's not a lot to roll out and see the connection with Hurts and the tight ends yet. So I'm still hesitant even with Goddard. But if I had to choose one of the two, it'd be Goddard over Ertz. So don't expect Ertz of old to come back in and be a factor here in this offense.
I like that one. I'm taking the tight end on the other side of the ball in that matchup with Jared Cook. He found the end zone last week, but we saw his connection with Taysom Hill in general the other 2 games of the year that the Taysom Hill's had the starts. He was 1 for 6, and then he goosed you in the other game. So I just don't think Jared Cook. I mean, your only chance of scoring any points is finding the end zone, and I really don't like his matchup here. I think when Drew Brees comes back, maybe you plug him back in with some confidence, but until then, I don't think you can play Jared Cook in any matchup as long as Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback. Jared Cook, set of the week. All right, let's wrap it up with streams of the week. These are some guys that, maybe you can find in the waiver wire. Taysom Hill probably not, but the rest you can. And hopefully they can surprise you and win you some weeks. So as we alluded to, the quarterback I think is a great stream of the week here is Taysom Hill against Philadelphia. Taysom Hill has just been getting it done since he's become the starter. He has the running upside as we've seen, and he started to be able to air the ball out a little bit last week and throw some touchdowns. So I think Taysom Hill is a guy that you can plug in and feel pretty confident with. He's pretty safe I don't think he's going to disappoint you and give you any games under 15, 16 points just with his rushing ability. Always seems to find the end zone in some way or the other running the ball. So I think Taysom Hill is a solid stream here against Philadelphia. What about running back streams of the week? Who do you guys have?
Cam Akers.
That's
That's
a good one.
that. You
Looking
got him on
really
the
good.
waivers, and you can go back in time and start him because the game is going on right now, and he is having a great game. That's who I would recommend. You should have listened to Stefen
Sure.
last week. I will
Sure.
give Stefen that
Thank
little
you.
bit of credit that he
you.
deserves. But I don't know. I'm actually kind of skeptical of this one. But the matchup works for Giovanni Bernard. He's been, I don't know. He's been kind of disappointing, I would say. Stefen would agree. I know he's played him a couple weeks, but he is playing Dallas. And if we learned anything about Dallas this year, it is that their defense is doo-doo and their running defense is abysmal. Maybe it might not even exist. I don't even know if they have a plan for that after what we saw against the Ravens. So I think Gio could definitely put up some numbers if he remembers how to play football again.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be a pretty competitive game. So I think they're going to have to rely on someone like Gio. And they haven't been able to get the passing game going. So maybe they'll get some dump offs and get him involved a little bit in the receiving game. Ashton, what about the wide receiver position? Any guys that you can probably scoop off the waiver and play this week?
There were a few that I was looking at. I mean, how do you guys feel about Perriman? Not to revert back to the Jets, but
yeah, I think it's the same argument you made about Jamison Crowder as your start of the week. I mean, I think you got the big playability from Rashad Perriman, where you have a little bit more confidence in Jamison Crowder to get a lot of the volume. But this is a great matchup.
Yeah, I know he was dealing with the shoulder injury, but it seems to be that he's limited in practice today. So that's a good sign moving forward. But
yeah,
keep an eye on his practice tomorrow. But Beasley is still available in a lot of leagues as well, which is kind of surprising. But Kiki QT was another one that I was looking at.
Yep. Yeah, those guys both had great weeks last week, but have tougher matchups. But I think they're great ads, especially.
I think volume is going to be a factor for QT, especially with this matchup. So, like I said before, we talked about Watson, but with Will Fuller being out, it's going to be Brandon Cooks and QT, I think, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think we hinted on that a little bit last week too, as Kiki QT being someone that you could probably add and see what happens with. So looks like it's working out so far. And then I think to wrap it up, a tight end stream of the week. I think Cole Kmet last week had a nice game. Looked like he was becoming a little bit bigger part of this offense. Jimmy Graham is starting to kind of fall off and get a little bit old.
Yeah, the snaps are changing and they're moving in Kmet's favor for sure. And
they drafted
matchup.
Cole Kmet pretty high. 5 for 37 in the touchdown last week. He gets a good matchup against Houston, whose pass defense has not looked great. Any interest in Cole Kmet as a possible stream this week?
Take whatever help you can get at tight end.
Right.
Yeah,
grab
man,
it.
take the best matchup and hope for the
one.
best. Just close your eyes. Don't
Grab
watch
them
and
and
just
go.
see what happens.
You can't sleep on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think Jordan Akins, he on the other side of the ball, he's got a good chance to score as well. So a couple guys, like we said, with tight ends, you look for the good matchups, take a shot. As long as you don't have Travis Kelce or Darren Wall or TJ Hawkins, one of those guys, just grab one of these random guys, give it a go, see what happens.
Yeah.
But that does it, guys. We will see you next week, hopefully in the second round of the playoffs. Hopefully you guys took some advice from us and these starts of the week work out. But until then, we will see you guys in round 2. Make sure to check out our socials for that water bet. We'll see. Jacob,
you guys already remember.
Jacob getting a little wet here. But other than that, go ahead and give us some likes on our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Send in any questions. This is the most important time of the year.
Yep. Goodbye. Cam Akers going to town.
Dude, what a solid pickup for me.